Welcome back, Chosen One. Sit down for this one, because something already happened before you even clicked play. Somewhere, right now, a phone is buzzing in someone's pocket like it's trying to warn them. Somewhere, right now, a group of people who thought they were safe behind a screen name and a private thread are staring at their messages, wondering who talked. Because it's out. The group chat about you, the one they swore would never see daylight, the one built in whispers and inside jokes at your expense. It's already been seen. It's already been screenshotted, and no amount of delete for everyone is going to undo what already landed in the right hands. You didn't ask for this. You didn't go looking for it. That's the part that's driving them the most insane right now. You weren't hunting for proof. You weren't checking phones or begging friends for details. It came to you. It arrived exactly when it needed to, in exactly the hands that could do the most damage to the story they'd been telling about you behind closed digital doors. Funny how that works. The people who thought a group chat was a vault, sealed, private, untouchable, are learning in real time that nothing stays buried when the universe decides you've been quiet long enough. Let's rewind for a second, because you already know how this started. It always starts the same way. A joke here. Did you see what they posted there? A little jab dressed up as concern. I'm just worried about them. I just think they've changed. I'm not trying to be messy, but that's how it always begins. Not with hatred, with comfort. With the quiet, cowardly comfort of talking about someone in a room they weren't invited to. They didn't say it to your face because they knew your face would ask questions they couldn't answer. So they said it in a thread instead, where nobody has to look anybody in the eye, where a laughing emoji can stand in for an insult, where 30 messages can pile onto one name without anyone ever once being brave enough to say a single word of it out loud in daylight, where it could be answered. Ask yourself something for a second. Why does it always happen in a group chat and never in person? Why does the courage only exist when there's a screen between them and you? Because courage was never the thing driving those messages. Comfort was. The comfort of an audience that already agrees with you. The comfort of typing something cruel and immediately getting 3 laughing reactions back, confirming you're not alone in the thought, even if the thought was never fair to begin with. That kind of comfort feels like safety right up until the screen cracks open and the whole room can suddenly see what was typed inside it. Before we go any further, Chosen One, hit that like button, hit subscribe, and let that be your way of paying this moment back to the universe. Not for luck, not for superstition, because energy like this needs to circulate, and every person who needed to hear this today deserves the chance to find it too. Now, back to the group chat, because here's what they didn't calculate. Every group chat has a leak point. Every private thread has a person who eventually gets tired of watching people talk trash about someone who never did anything to them. Every circle of loyal friends has one person sitting quietly in the corner of that conversation, thinking, this isn't right, and I'm not going to pretend I didn't see it. That person doesn't announce themselves. They don't ask permission. They just wait for the right moment, and when it comes, they act. Quietly, cleanly, without drama. One screenshot at a time, and that's exactly what happened. The messages got out. Not because you went digging, not because you demanded receipts, because somebody in that chat had a conscience heavier than their loyalty to the group, and the moment that conscience won, the whole thing cracked open like a dam that had been holding back water for way too long. You didn't break the dam, Chosen One. They built it wrong from the start, using lies as mortar, and lies always crack eventually. Every wall built out of gossip has a weak point somewhere, a place where the mortar never fully set, and it only takes one crack for the whole structure to start failing under its own weight. Here's what's happening right now, in this exact moment, while you're watching this. Somewhere, a group of people are staring at their phones in silence. Nobody's typing, nobody's sending the usual lol or the usual joke. The chat has gone dead quiet because everyone in that thread just realized the same thing at the exact same time. Everything they said, every dig, every you know how they get, every fake concerned paragraph dressed up as care, it's all sitting somewhere now, outside of their control. And control, Chosen One, was the only thing they ever actually had. The second it's gone, so is their nerve. You know that silence. You've felt versions of it before. It's the silence that comes after somebody gets caught doing something they thought they'd never get caught doing. It's not embarrassment, it's fear, dressed up as embarrassment so it looks smaller than it is. Because what they're really afraid of isn't that you saw the messages. They're afraid of what happens now that you know exactly who they were the entire time they were smiling at you in person. Let's sit with that for a second, because this is the part they never think through when they're typing those messages at midnight, laughing behind a screen. They never think about the moment it stops being private. They never think about the moment their words leave the group chat and start standing on their own, without the context of, "We were just venting," or "We didn't mean it like that." Words don't need permission to mean exactly what they said, and once they're seen by the person they were about, there's no amount of "it was a joke" that unwrites them. Text doesn't have a tone of voice to hide behind. It doesn't have a nervous laugh to soften it. It just sits there, plain, permanent, saying exactly what it says. You didn't have to say a single word for this to unravel. That's the part that should tell you everything about the position you're actually standing in right now. While they were busy talking about you in a room they thought was locked, you were just living your life, working, building, moving forward, not obsessing over what people thought, not checking who liked what or who commented where. You were simply existing at a level they couldn't stop watching, even while pretending they didn't care. Because that's the real secret behind every group chat like this one. People don't build a whole private thread around someone they've genuinely stopped thinking about. They build it around someone they can't stop thinking about. Someone whose presence still occupies space in their head, rent-free, uninvited, and impossible to evict. Think about that for a second. If they truly didn't care, there would be nothing to discuss. Silence doesn't need a thread. Indifference doesn't need 30 messages a day dissecting your every move, your every post, your every decision. What they built was not indifference. It was obsession wearing the costume of concern, and obsession always eventually slips and shows its real face. Imagine watching someone insist for months that they don't care about you at all, while somehow finding time every single day to talk about you with other people who also insist they don't care. That contradiction was always going to catch up to them. It just finally did, out loud, in writing, where nobody could pretend otherwise anymore. Now the drop is here. The rest of the story is already unfolding, whether they're ready for it or not. And chosen one, if you're feeling that pull right now, that mix of vindication and calm, drop 77 in the comments, not for attention, as a signal that you're the kind of person who can watch this unfold without needing to lift a finger, because the universe already did the heavy lifting for you. And if you want to keep this mission moving, consider the super thanks button, your way of fueling the next message like this one. Now, let's go step by step through exactly what that leak revealed, who it exposed, and why the silence in that chat isn't ever going away. Number 1. The moment somebody hits send on the wrong screenshot. Every leak has an origin point, one single second where private became public and there was no walking it back. For that group chat, it happened faster than anyone expected. Somebody forwarded a message they thought was harmless, thought was just between two people, thought would stay contained. It didn't. Messages don't stay where you put them. They move. They travel through phones the way water travels through cracks, finding every gap, every opening, until they land exactly where they were never supposed to land. And once that first screenshot moved, the rest followed like dominoes falling in a straight, unstoppable line. Imagine a single loose thread on a sweater. Somebody pulls it, just a little, just enough to see what happens, and the whole thing unravels in their hands before they can stop it. That's what this leak was. One thread, one name mentioned to the wrong person, one, wait, you have to see this, sent with good intentions or bad ones, it doesn't even matter anymore. The moment it moved, it was over, and they know it. They know exactly which message started the chain, and they know there's no version of events where they get to undo it. Some of them are probably still trying to trace it backward right now, replaying every conversation, asking who they trusted that they shouldn't have, never once stopping to ask the more obvious question: why did they need to trust anyone with something they weren't willing to say out loud in the first place? Number 2, the people who added fuel thinking nobody would ever see the fire. Here's what nobody in that chat thought about while they were typing. They weren't just talking, they were building a record. Every message is a timestamp. Every reaction emoji is a signature. Every "I agree" and every laughing face underneath somebody else's comment about you is proof of participation, whether they meant it that way or not. They thought silence in the group made them safe. It didn't. Reading and reacting is its own kind of confession. Picture a courtroom where every text becomes an exhibit, every emoji becomes a fingerprint, and every single person who added even a small comment gets called to stand and explain themselves. That's what's happening in their minds right now. They're replaying every message they sent, trying to remember how bad it actually reads out of context, except it doesn't need context. It reads exactly as bad as it is, because that's exactly what it was. Some of them added one laughing emoji, thinking that made them a bystander instead of a participant. It doesn't work that way. There's no such thing as a quiet accomplice once the whole room can see the transcript. Number 3, why they went quiet the second it reached you. This is the part that confuses people who've never been on this side of a leak. They expect chaos. They expect accusations, confrontation, a big dramatic blow-up. Instead, what actually happens is silence, and silence terrifies people more than shouting ever could. When you didn't respond the way they expected, when you didn't blow up their phone demanding answers, when you simply went quiet and let the moment breathe, that quiet became the loudest thing in the room. Imagine standing across from someone who just found out everything you said about them, and instead of yelling, they just look at you, calm, unreadable, and walk away. That look does more damage than any argument ever could, because it tells them you already know exactly who they are, and you don't need to convince them of it. Your silence isn't confusion, it's confirmation, and confirmation without confrontation is the kind of power they don't have a script for. They've rehearsed apologies in their heads for a fight that never came, and that unused apology just sits there, useless, because you never asked for it. Number 4, what the messages actually revealed underneath the jokes. Strip away the laughing emojis, strip away the "we're just venting" language, and what's actually sitting underneath every one of those messages is fear, not concern, not honesty. Fear, dressed up in casual language so it looks lighter than it is. They weren't talking about your flaws, they were talking about your presence, your progress, the way you kept moving forward without asking for their permission or their approval. People don't build entire threads dedicated to someone they've truly written off. They build threads around someone whose growth makes their own stagnation impossible to ignore. Every jab was really a mirror, and none of them liked what they saw reflected back once the group started comparing your life to theirs. Ask yourself why the messages always mentioned what you were doing lately, what you posted, who you were seen with, how you looked. People don't track details about someone they've stopped measuring themselves against. Number 5, the person who couldn't sit in that chat anymore. Somewhere in that group was somebody who never wanted to be there in the first place. Somebody who joined out of loyalty to the group and stayed out of habit, quietly uncomfortable every time your name came up. That person watched the conversation get uglier and uglier, watched people they thought were better than this pile on again and again, and eventually reached a point where staying silent felt worse than speaking up. They didn't confront the group. They didn't argue in the thread. They simply made a decision in private, the same way the group made theirs, and let the truth do the talking they were too afraid to do out loud. That single decision is the reason this entire story exists. One conscience, tired of watching cruelty dressed up as friendship, changed the outcome for everyone involved. And somewhere down the line, whether you ever learn their name or not, that person made a choice that mattered more than anything the rest of the group ever typed. Number 6, why deleting it didn't save them. The second panic set in, somebody typed the words every guilty group chat eventually types. Delete it. Delete it now before it spreads further. Except deletion only works on devices, not on memory, not on screenshots already taken, not on messages already forwarded to somebody outside their little circle. They were trying to lock a door after the room had already emptied out through the window. Imagine trying to put smoke back into a fire after it's already filled the whole house. That's what deleting a leaked group chat actually accomplishes. Nothing. The damage was done the second it left their private little bubble, and no amount of frantic tapping on a delete button was ever going to rewrite what had already been seen. Some of them probably still have the deleted chat's notification sound burned into their memory. That little chime that used to mean something funny was happening, now permanently attached to the moment everything fell apart. Number 7. The friendships that didn't survive the read receipts. Here's the part nobody wants to admit out loud. Some of the people in that chat aren't actually friends with each other either. They were only ever united by one shared hobby, talking about you. And once the leak happened, once everyone had to see their own words in black and white, some of those alliances started cracking too. People started turning on each other, asking who forwarded what, who started the thread, who kept it going the longest. The group that once bonded over tearing you down suddenly couldn't trust one another, because if one person could leak it, any of them could be next. That's the kind of unraveling that doesn't need your involvement at all. You simply existed, and their own foundation, built on gossip instead of substance, did the rest by itself. A friendship built on a shared target instead of shared values was never going to hold once the target stopped being available to distract them from each other. Number 8. Why you never needed to defend yourself. In every version of this story that's ever played out, the person being talked about always feels the urge to explain, to clarify, to prove the talk was wrong. You didn't do that, and that decision is exactly why this hit as hard as it did. Explaining yourself gives a rumor oxygen, silence starves it. While they were expecting a reaction, a comment, a post, some kind of public defense, you gave them nothing to work with. No fuel, no drama, no material for round 2 of the same conversation. Imagine throwing a match at a fire that's already been put out. Nothing catches. Nothing burns. That's what your silence did to their entire plan. It left them standing there, holding a lit match with nowhere left to throw it. Ask yourself, what would explaining have even accomplished? It would have handed them exactly what they wanted, proof that the words landed, proof that you cared enough to respond. You didn't give them that proof, and the absence of it said more than any statement could have. Number 9. The screenshots that are still circulating whether they like it or not. Here's the uncomfortable truth for them. This isn't over just because the initial shock has passed. Screenshots don't disappear. They get saved, shared quietly between people who weren't originally part of the chat, referenced in future conversations nobody will ever tell them about. The record exists now, permanently, in a way that will outlive this week, this month, maybe even this year. Every time somebody new hears the story, the screenshots become the evidence, and evidence doesn't need them present to keep speaking. They built something they thought would stay contained forever, and instead they built a permanent record of exactly who they were when they thought nobody outside their circle was watching. Somewhere down the line, one of them will meet somebody new, start a new friendship, and that new person will already know the story before they've even had a real conversation. That's the part deletion could never fix. Number 10. Why the silence in that group chat still hasn't broken. Weeks from now, whenever this reaches you, that thread is likely still sitting there, unanswered, untouched, because nobody knows what to say anymore. What do you say after something like this? Sorry doesn't cover it. Explaining doesn't undo it. So the group does the only thing it can do. It goes quiet and hopes the moment passes, hopes people forget, hopes you never bring it up again. But quiet in a group chat that used to be constantly active isn't peace, it's paralysis. It's a group of people who built an entire social dynamic around talking about you, suddenly realizing they have nothing left to say now that the talking has consequences. Imagine a room that used to be full of noise, laughter, constant notifications, suddenly gone completely still, not because peace arrived, but because everyone inside it ran out of things they were willing to say out loud. Number 11. What this taught you about who was really in your corner. Every leak like this does one useful thing, whether anyone intended it to or not. It sorts people. It shows you exactly who stayed quiet in that chat because they respected you too much to participate, exactly who left the thread the second it turned ugly, and exactly who leaned into it the hardest, thinking there would never be consequences. You didn't need a test to find this out. The universe ran the test for you, and the results came back clean. You now know, with complete certainty, exactly who was standing where the whole time. That kind of clarity is worth more than any apology they could ever offer you. And clarity like that changes how you move forward, not with bitterness, but with a quiet, settled understanding of exactly who deserves your time and who never did. Number 12. Why this changes how they approach you from now on. Whatever version of confidence they had walking up to you before, talking to you, laughing with you, pretending everything was fine, that version is gone now. They know you know. They know exactly what was said, exactly who said it, and exactly how it reads without the excuse of "you had to be there." Every future interaction now carries the weight of that knowledge, whether either of you says it out loud or not. That shift in dynamic isn't something they can undo through apology or avoidance. It simply exists now, permanently, the way any true thing exists once it's been seen clearly. Watch how their eye contact changes. Watch how the conversation gets shorter, more careful, more rehearsed. That's not politeness. That's the sound of people choosing their words for the first time in a long time. Number 13. The part where the ones who stayed loyal finally get their flowers. In every one of these situations, there's always somebody who gets overlooked in the drama. The one or two people who never said a single bad word about you, who quietly stepped back from the conversation whenever your name came up, who maybe even tried gently redirecting the group away from it without making a scene. Those people rarely get thanked properly in the moment because the loud chaos of the leak takes up all the attention. But now, in the quiet after, is exactly when their loyalty becomes visible. They didn't need the leak to prove themselves. Their behavior was already consistent before anyone was watching, which is exactly why it holds up now that everyone is. Chosen one, don't let the noise of the fallout distract you from noticing who never needed a scandal to treat you with basic respect. Number 14. The version of you that walked out of this untouched. Here's the part that matters most, chosen one. You didn't fight for this outcome. You didn't scheme, manipulate, or plot revenge. You simply kept living, kept moving, kept building the life that made an entire chat full of people unable to stop talking about you in the first place. The leak wasn't punishment you orchestrated, it was consequence, arriving exactly the way consequence always arrives for people who mistake privacy for permission. You stayed exactly who you were through the entire thing, calm, unaffected, moving forward. And that consistency is the actual reason this story ended the way it did. You didn't become a different person the moment the messages surfaced. You didn't need to. The version of you that existed before the leak and the version that exists after it are the same steady person, and that steadiness is exactly what they could never account for. So here's where we close it, chosen one. Not loudly, not with a victory lap, just with the truth sitting plainly in front of everyone involved. They thought a group chat was a safe room. It wasn't. They thought silence after deleting it would make the words disappear. It didn't. They thought talking about you behind a screen meant they'd never have to face what they said. They were wrong about that too. You didn't do anything except keep being yourself, and that alone was enough to bring the whole thing into the light. Delete it before they see it, they said. It was already seen, it was already saved, and it will keep speaking long after that chat goes silent for good. If this one hit different, if you felt that quiet sense of vindication settle in while you were watching, hit that like button, subscribe for the next one, drop 77 in the comments, and share this with somebody who needs to hear that the truth always finds its way out eventually. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Take care and goodbye.